In Season of Discovery, Balance Druids are finally getting the help they need with their mana utilisation with brand new runes that we can use. In this guide, I am going to take you through absolutely everything from what race to play, what talents to pick, consumables and gear, and of course, the runes that you are going to be using and your rotation. To start with, let's look at the best races. Now, of course, this is Classic, and in Season of Discovery, all we can pick from is Night Elf and a Tauren. Now, Night Elf, of course, is the Alliance choice, and it doesn't really provide any Druid relative combat abilities for balanced DPS, so sorry if you're Alliance. Taurens, however, do have some extra health with their endurance trait, and they do have War Stomp, which can actually stun their enemies. So if you are Horde, this is going to be the better race to pick. If you're wondering what profession to pick, engineering is generally going to be the best, as this gives you a plethora of options that wouldn't usually be available at that low level, because remember the level cap is going to be 25 to start with. Another really good option would be tailoring. A lot of our best in slot and very useful items, so near best in slot items, are also actually going to come from the tailoring profession. Not saying you need tailoring to wear them, but of course being able to make them yourself would make life a lot easier. Now let's look at the stat priority, and this is actually going to be really important in Season of Discovery. The first one you're going to want to get is your spell hit rating, and to be able to cap on bosses, we are going to need this at 16%. The second one would be spell, nature, and arcane damage. Some spells are going to scale better with it than others, but for the most part, we're going to be casting spells that are really going to greatly benefit from this. Then, of course, we have spell critical strike. 200% damage is what we're going to be maxing out at for a spell crit when we max our talent called Vengeance. More on that when we go into talents. The fourth is, of course, going to be intellect. I feel like that's a pretty obvious stat. And if you don't know, it's going to be able to grant you spell critical strike, and it's also going to increase your maximum mana. Last but not least, actually last and least, is spirit, and this is going to give you minor mana regen. There are some other stats that aren't our top 5 priority, but are really useful. I'm going to go through these now, which is mana every 5 seconds, which of course is for mana regen when you are casting. We have resistance, which is going to strongly reduce magic damage taken of a specific element for whatever the resistance is of that you have. Then we've got stamina, which is going to increase your health. Agility is actually going to give you dodge, and armor, which means that it's going to reduce the damage you take overall. Moving on to talents, this is the build here. Remember, of course, we're only going to level 25, so we can't actually use many of them, which really means the talents we pick are actually a lot more important than before. First up is going to be Improved Wrath at the top left. This is quite simply going to reduce the cast time of your Wrath spell, and it is actually also going to impact your Star Surge ability, which we're going to be getting from one of our runes. Improved Moonfire is going to give us crit, and this again is going to work on Moonfire and also Sunfire. Nature's Reach, which is the one on the right on its own, is good for staying safely out of mechanics and increasing your uptime in combat. And then the one on the left, which is Improved Thorns, isn't a massive damage increase, but it does add up. The last one at the bottom, which we're going to put 1 point in, is Vengeance. This is going to increase the critical strike bonus of your Starfire, Moonfire, and Wrath spells by 20%. And this is going to round us off with the last talent point on the tree. Now then that we've actually picked our talents, let's look at the runes we're going to get, which of course are the new hot topic in Season of Discovery. So I will say, as I'm filming this, we actually don't know where you can get these runes yet, but once we do find out, I will pop that information down in the description for you, and that will be updated. Unfortunately, I don't have a crystal ball. I am actually filming this just before Season of Discovery releases, so quite frankly, I haven't had time to find out. So the first one we've got is Fury of Storm Rage, and this is the one that's really going to change our gameplay as a Balance Druid. It's going to mean that our Wrath spell is going to cost no mana at all. It's going to be completely free, and casting it is going to have a chance to proc your next healing touch and make it instant. Secondary, we have Sunfire, where we're going to gain the Sunfire damage over time ability, and this is also going to benefit from any talents and abilities that actually affect our Moonfire. And of course, the talent build has taken this into consideration, like I said before. Last is Star Surge, and again, we're going to gain this ability. It's a single target ability, and it's also going to gain any benefits from any talents and abilities that affect Wrath and Starfire. So these are actually like really game-changing and really interesting. And Fury of Stormrage alone is going to fix that issue with how we're always running out of mana as a Balanced Druid in Classic. I'm really hoping this is going to be how Season of Discovery is going to work going forward. You know, Classic Plus, and it's fixing those issues. So now onto the rotation, and it is going to be this here. It is incredibly simple. We're going to apply Moonfire and Sunfire, not Sunflower, and then we're going to reapply these whenever they fall off. Secondary, we're going to use Star Surge on cooldown, and then we're going to use Wrath as our filler, which with our new rune is free, of course. We can occasionally use Healing Touch when this procs, because it's actually going to be instant cast. Looking at the consumables we can use, we've got the Elixir of Fortitude, which will give you additional health that can let you survive an extra hit. The Elixir of Defense, which is for armor, which reduces all damage you take. We've got the Free Action Potion, which can be used to immune stun mechanics. And then we've got the Mana Potion, which of course with our new rune will help our mana even more. For the enchants, it's going to be pretty simple and will look like this. We're going to use Lesser Shadow Resistance, some stats and intellect, and some armor kits on our armor. But of course, what armor are we actually going to use? So these items here are some of the best items that you can get. Sorry, I'm in the way of these black velvet robes. So starting with the head, we've got the Spell Power Goggles Extreme, and these actually do require engineering and are learned from a recipe that drops off much higher level mobs. But if someone does farm out the schematic for these, definitely get them crafted. Then we've got the shoulders, which is the Magician's Mantle. This is going to drop from In the World, and it's a BOE, Bind on Equip, and it has Spell Power and Intellect, and it's easily one of your all-time best items. Then we have the Extra Planar Spider Silk Boots. These are very unique, and therefore you're going to be chasing a very specific item for these. These are, I believe, made by Tailoring. Now, if you can't get these, because they are amazing, but I don't think they're going to be that easy to get, you can also get the Spider Silk Boots, which are also from Tailoring. So Tailoring is, like I said earlier, going to be really useful. Then looking at the bracers, we've got the Mind Thrust bracers. These have double the intellect of the next best bracers, so these are fantastic. And then we've got the Lawmaster's Ring. Now, the way to get this is through PvP in Warsong Reputation. And there is the Advisor's Ring and the Lawkeeper's Ring, one for the Alliance and one for the Horde. So you are going to have to farm out some Warsong rep in Warsong Gulch to get this ring. But it is really useful. It's going to increase the damage and healing done by your spells up to 5. And it's going to restore some mana over time as well. And that is it. That is how we're going to play Balance Druid in Season of Discovery. Let me know your comments down below. I hope this was really helpful. I really would love to hear how you guys get on in Season of Discovery. It's, you know, really exciting times in World of Warcraft Classic. And if you do have any other questions, feel free to click the link down below to join my Discord, where we have some other Classic players.